Hey everyone, welcome to Gradegetter. My name is Taylor and today we are starting a new series of videos that I hope will be really helpful for you. We are going to work through a practice test for the SAT. This practice test will focus on the math portion of the test, and I think it will really help you get an idea for what kind of questions will be on the test and how to study and prepare for them. Alright, let's make the SAT make sense. As you probably know, the SAT test is a comprehensive test made up of 3 sections: a reading test, a writing and language test, and a math test. Some states in the US also require a 50-minute essay, so be sure to know the requirements for the SAT based on where you live. In this video series, we're going to take a look at the math portion of the test and work through some of the problems together. Now, this practice test is modeled after the actual SAT, so although the questions may be a little bit different, the concepts will be exactly the same. Now, the math test for the SAT is divided up into 2 sections. The first section of the math test are 20 questions that must be completed in 25 minutes, and you are not allowed to use a calculator. The second section of the SAT math test are 38 questions that have to be completed in 55 minutes, but the good news is you are allowed to use a calculator on this second portion of the math test. Now that we've covered some of the basic expectations for the SAT math test, let's get started working through some of these problems together. And for you to get the most out of these videos, we're going to work through every problem in detail so that you not only know what kind of questions will be on the test, but the concepts behind them so that you know how to study and prepare. Alright, let's get started. Alright, a quick note before we get started on these problems. The problems in this video, you're not allowed to use a calculator on, which is how the SAT is. There's a portion where you can use a calculator, there's a portion where you cannot use a calculator. So just for your own practice, try not using a calculator to solve these problems as you work them out with me. So question number 1 says that Marco is ordering salt, which is only sold in 30-pound bags. He currently has 75 pounds, and he needs to have a minimum of 200 pounds. A minimum. Which of the following inequalities shows all possible values for the number of bags B? So B is going to represent the number of bags that Marco needs in order to meet his minimum requirement. Okay, so there's a lot going on in this problem. To help me kind of work through especially long word problems such as this one, I like to use the find given technique, where I write down what exactly am I trying to find, and then I can also write down useful information that I'm given. So I'm looking for the number of bags that Marco needs to meet a minimum of 200 pounds. Now let's write down some useful information that we're given. I think first I'm going to write down how many pounds of salt he currently has. So right now he has 75 pounds of salt. He needs 200 pounds, at least. And each bag is only sold in 30 pounds per bag. Okay, so now that I've written down some useful information, let's see how many pounds Marco needs to reach his minimum. So I'm going to take the minimum amount, which is 200, and subtract the current amount that he has now. So 200 minus 75 equals 125 pounds that Marco needs. So if he needs 125 pounds and each bag is 30 pounds, let's divide 125 pounds, which is how much he needs, by the amount of pounds per bag. And that should tell us how many bags Marco's going to need. So 125 pounds divided by 30 pounds per bag. Let's see, 30 goes into 0 times, goes into 12 0 times, but it goes into 125 4 times, which is 120. So subtract that. Got 5, bring down a 0. got a decimal there. 30 goes into 50 one time. 20 is left. Bring down another 0, 200. So let's see, 30 goes into 200, what, about 6 times? Be 180. So yeah, this is just going to keep repeating now. So 0.6666. So he needs just over 4 bags to meet this minimum requirement. So it's tempting to think, oh, it must be A then, because I see I've got 4 here. But remember, he's got to have a little bit more than 4 bags. He needs 4.1 bags. Well, you can't buy 4.1 bags of salt. You can buy 4 bags or 5 bags. So in order to meet this minimum, he can't buy 4 bags or he won't have enough pounds of salt. So he's got to buy at least 5 bags of salt to get his minimum requirement of salt. So our actual correct answer is going to be B, because you can't buy 4.16 bags of salt. You've got to go up to the next bag, the next whole bag, which would be 5. So that's our answer. Question number 2 says that a website hopes to sign up 100,000 subscribers. So far, the website has signed up an average of 500 subscribers per day for D days, some number of days. Which of the following represents the number of additional subscribers? So the number of additional subscribers, W, the website must sign up to reach its goal. Again, this is a long word problem, so I'm going to use the find given technique. So I'm trying to find the number of additional subscribers needed to reach 100,000. And that is W. Now, some useful given information is I need 100,000 subscribers total, and we've got an average value of subscribers. So an average daily value of 500. So that would mean if it's an average of 500 subscribers per day at D days, you currently have 500 times D is your current amount of subscribers. So if we were to come up with an equation to make sense of all of this, we could say that the current number of subscribers plus the additional number of subscribers that you need, this is our W, right, should equal the total amount that we need, which is 100,000. So this should equal our total needed. So if our current, which we said is 500 times D, so 500 times D plus our additional needed, which we're saying is W, and that equals 100,000. Well, if we solve for W, then we just subtract 500D from both sides. And that gives us our answer for W. So W equals 100,000 minus 500D, which is C. So that is our correct answer for this problem. We have more problems to solve, but before we move on, I just wanted to let you know that Gradegetter has a whole library of videos to help you be a better student. Or if you are looking for more personal interaction, Gradegetter also offers private one-on-one tutoring, where the first 30 minutes are free with no obligation to make sure that the tutor is a good fit for you. So if you are looking for some extra help, then head to our website at gradegetter.com. Now back to the video. Question number 3 says that if f is a function, so f is a function and f of 4 equals 5, which of the following could be the definition of f? Now, for this problem, I'm not going to use the find given technique. And just a quick word on that, if that seems like it's a lot of extra time, you don't necessarily have to write every single word out, but this should be a helpful process for you as you work through a problem. You should be asking yourself, okay, what am I trying to find exactly? And what is some useful information that they give me? And then you can either underline that, which is what I've been doing as well, or if you really are stuck on a problem, go ahead and write out the words. There's something about putting a pen to paper and writing it out that helps your brain start to process and synthesize this information that you're given. So again, you don't have to do it exactly like how I'm doing it, because you are going to be limited on the amount of time that you have. But these are helpful methods or techniques to use when solving math problems, especially word problems. I should have probably mentioned that on the previous problem, because I'm not going to use that here. However, I am going to write down some helpful information that we're given. Specifically, I'm going to write down this function. So f of 4 equals 5, which just means the 4 is my input. So when I input 4, my output should be 5. So let's see which one of these equations satisfies this input and output. So I'm just going to start with the equation from letter A. So when x is 4, x is my input, what is my output? Well, if x is 4, wherever there's an x, I'm going to put 4 minus 1. So I get f of 4 equals 3. Okay, well, my input was 4, but my output was not 5. So this, I don't think A is correct. That was A. Let's do B now. So again, my input is x, which is 4. So wherever there is an x, I'm going to put 4 now. So 2 times x, or 2 times 4 minus 2, which is 2 times 4 is 8, minus 2 is 6. So in this case, f of 4 equals 6. My input is still 4, but my output is not 5. So this is not right either. Let's do letter C. With an input of x equals 4 again, f of 4 equals 3 times x, which is 4, minus 7. 3 times 4 is 12, minus 7 is 5. So this seems to satisfy the equation. So f of 4 equals 5. My input is 4, my output is 5. I think C is going to be correct. Let's just double check for D. My input of x equals 4. 4 times x, which is 4 again, minus 5. 16, or 4 times 4 is 16, minus 5 is 9. So yeah, D is not correct either. So we just confirmed that C is indeed our correct answer. Alright, question number 4 gives us this expression here, and then says which of the following is equivalent to this expression? And then we have different options, right? So we've got to see if we can reduce our original expression. So I'm going to rewrite this out over here so it's a little bit bigger and I can kind of work with it. It's always a good idea to rewrite the problem, again, just to help your brain start processing and working through how to solve this problem. So I think what I'm going to do is focus on the numerator and then the denominator for this problem. Now I see I could factor out an x squared in my numerator. So I'm going to do that. I've got x squared, and then I'm left with 1x from this x cubed, and then a 1. And I'm going to do the same thing now to the bottom. I could factor out this time an x cubed. And I'm left with an x again from the x to the 4th plus 1. Okay, well, I'm going to see now, is this written out over here anywhere? And of course the answer is no. So I've got more reducing that I need to do. Well, right away I see that my x plus 1s can cancel out with each other. It's x plus 1 over x plus 1, which just cancels out to be 1. So this is now x squared over x cubed. Again, that's not an option here, so I've got more reducing to be done. Well, I could cancel out, let's see, 2 of my x squareds, which would cancel out 2x squareds down here, and I would be left with 1 over x, which again is not an option over here. However, I could rewrite this as an x to the minus 1, right? There's technically a 1 exponent written here, x to the 1. We just don't usually write that exponent out. So then to bring this expression up top, you make the exponent negative. So D is going to be our correct answer. Now, let's practice simplifying this another way. If I wanted to combine these, again, I could move this x cubed up top by making its exponent negative. So this would be, instead of dividing by x cubed, it would be multiplying by x to the minus 3. Now, to combine these terms, as long as the bases are the same, right, they both have a base of x, my exponents combine by adding. So this would be x to the 2 minus 3. 2 minus 3 is negative 1, so this would be x to the negative 1, which again was our answer. So this is just a couple different ways to look at this problem and solve it. And if you feel like this is, kind of some difficult or weird concepts, then going back and solving algebraic expressions, especially with exponents, would be a great opportunity for you to go back and review. Well, congratulations, you have just solved your first problems for the SAT math test. We're going to keep chipping away at these problems, so be sure to watch the next video in the series and subscribe to the channel so you stay updated on all of our content. And again, if you want more personal interaction, Gradegetter offers one-on-one private tutoring, so be sure to head to our website at gradegetter.com. Thanks for watching, and until next time, God bless.